welcome back to the CR Wood Shop. In this video I'm going to show you how to install a medium duty side mount drawer slide. We have here a typical kitchen cabinet with a 4-inch deep, 22-inch drawer. The slides that I'll be using today are full extension, soft close drawer slides. Full extension means that the drawer box, the back of the drawer box will extend past the face frame so that we have access to the full drawer. Soft close is a mechanism that prevents us from slamming our fingers in the drawer when we slide it or slam it shut. It'll pull it closed nice and gently. The slide that I'm going to be showing you today is a KV GS slide. This is a medium duty slide. They range in cost from about $13 to $17 depending on the vendor and the length of the slide. This is a ball bearing slide. It is composed of two components. If we extend the slide open and flip it over, there you can see here there's a little spring mechanism. If we push that down and pull it apart, we have two components. This portion of the slide will mount to the inside of the cabinet, and this portion will attach to the side of our drawer. This is considered a medium duty slide, which means that it has a 100-pound rating. It is non-handed. So when you get a set of two of them, your $17 will buy you two. That's enough for one drawer. They can be placed on either the right side or the left side. They are non-handed. We attach them with number 7 half-inch flathead screws, and we need a half-inch clearance between the side of our cabinet and the dimension of the box, the drawer box. So we measured our opening. In this case, it is 12 inches, and then we made a box that is 1 inch narrower. That is 11-inch wide. That half-inch measurement is has to be very precise. We have very small allowance on that. The drawer can't be more than about a 30-second over or under. If it's over, it absolutely will not fit. If it's under, there are ways to shim out one slide to make your drawer box work. But it's really important that you try to be precise when you're making your drawer boxes. I'm going to show you two ways of mounting this slide, and I have one already mounted here. I'll move the camera around, show you. One is attached to the right hand side, and now I will attach the left hand and show you how that works. One easy way to attach them is to use a store-bought jig. In this case I'm using a Craig. This is a very affordable jig. It's very easy to use, and it's helpful, especially if you don't have someone helping you install slides. What we have here are two components, and they're labeled A and B. The A always goes on the left side as you're facing the cabinet. The B goes on the right. And we're going to use these little tabs. We'll put this on the inside of the cabinet. Set that little tab right on the edge of the face frame, and use a Craig clamp to grab right inside there and clamp it to the face frame. I put masking tape on the pad of the clamp just to help prevent scratching the face frame. It's very important that our drawer slide be perpendicular to the face frame. In this situation, we don't use the term level because our cabinet isn't fixed. It hasn't been installed. We haven't checked for level. It's sitting on a workbench that's not level, and our floor is possibly not level. So we are mounting the drawer slide relative to the face frame, not relative to the earth or not level. So this jig, the Craig jig, ensures that we are mounting it at a 90-degree angle from the front of the face frame, perpendicular, giving us a nice perpendicular sliding drawer. Alright, so what we will do is take the cabinet portion of the slide, which as we look at it here, it has numerous holes. There's a set of 2, there's another 2, there's 3 here. Many mounting holes. We don't need to put a screw in each hole. We just need enough to hold it solidly and hold it in place. On the back side, you see that there are some tabs. These tabs allow us to adjust the slide after it's been mounted. If we find that the slides aren't parallel, then we can put a wedge, usually a piece of wood or scrap plastic or something, behind that tab. We can bend it out slightly, and that will allow us to tweak the slide a little bit one way or the other to make it parallel to the other side. Usually I mount one solid like this on the side of the cabinet, and then I'll tweak the inner one, and if need be. Hopefully the slides will be parallel and we will not have to do that. What causes the problem is our furring. If we have a furring strip that is twisted or out of plumb, out of perpendicular from the face frame, then we might have to shim that slide to get it parallel to the other. If the slides aren't parallel, or if they bind, if they have a slight bend to them when we tighten down the screws, the drawer will not slide nicely and it won't function well. We need to fix that before we finished with the cabinet. Alright, so we have our Craig jig in place. We're going to look at the slide. There's a piston mechanism here and some springs, and that gives us the soft closed feature of this slide. That goes in the back, and this plastic black end here goes on the front. As with all slides, we typically want that front edge of the slide to set back from the face frame about 1/16 of an inch. Some European manufacturers will say 1 millimeter, but it's a small amount. I usually just try to hit a 1/16 to a 32nd. Whatever I do here, I want to try to match over there. The reason for that is so that when the drawer front is attached and the soft close mechanism pulls the drawer closed, we want the overlay drawer front to come in contact with the face frame and not the end of the slide. If it stops at the end of the slide and leaves a gap around the drawer, it just doesn't look nice. So we set it back a little bit, and the slide will have enough strength to pull that front up nice and tight to the face frame. So here we go. We're going to use a VIX bit, and we're going to drill a hole right there in the face frame. So the VIX bit is a cone-shaped self-centering bit, small drill bit, spring-loaded. We put it right in our hole. I'm going to move the camera here so to give you a little better view. Slide the bearing mechanism out of the way, and we'll put the drill right in there. Drill a hole. I like to put a screw in right away. Magnetic drill tip is very helpful. Put one screw in, make sure that we're still sitting where we want it to be, and then go to the back and do the same thing. At this point, 2 screws are enough. That will hold the slide in place. We can take our Craig jig off and pull out our clamp. And that will be enough to get the drawer established in place, and then we can adjust it if necessary. Once we're happy with the location and the position of the slide, then we'll go back and add some extra screws. When you drill through your slide, you get dust into the ways of the slide, and there's grease in there. There's a little bit of light grease, so I like to clean out the dust before I proceed, just because it's going to cause some binding later on. It only takes a minute or so. Just use a cheap chip brush and knock out the sawdust. If you don't have the Craig jig and you're just doing one slide or a few slides, you don't want to invest in this jig, you can use a carpenter square and draw lines on your cabinet. And the easiest way is just to find a position on the face frame so that you're getting a square line from the face frame perpendicular, and then draw a line down the center of your furring strip. On the slide, you can just line up your center holes on that pencil line, use your Vicks bit, drill them, and mount it the same way. People that do this a lot would claim that that's probably faster. If you get efficient at this, why bother with a jig? Just draw your lines, you know your spacing, draw them, and be done. Some other techniques I've seen is people make a little spacer, or they know that this certain distance, let's say our screw line needs to be 1 inch above, they'll just cut a little filler strip and lay it in there, set it perpendicular face, draw their line. So you can make a little jig for yourself that would really speed this process up. So there we have the two slides. Now we need to mount the drawer, and we're going to use the Craig jigs again for this, and we're going to put them on the outside now. A on the left, B on the right, and reach right in there. Try to keep it from sliding. I think I need to be on the other side. There we go, that's better. There's one, and we'll use the second one as well. And then we will insert the slide, or the drawer portion, into the slide. There's an open end and a closed end. The closed end will be out to the face of the cabinet. This will slide in and mate with the bearings. And there's our slide. So we're going to install both of these in there, and then place the drawer on top of the boxes here, or on top of the jigs. The drawer box, if you set it in there carefully, there is a line on the jig here, and that's where we set the front of our cabinet. And then we pull the slide right out to the front. And again, I'll set it back just a tiny bit. And then we'll use our Vicks bit and we'll mark one hole. On the drawer component, there are slots, elongated holes, that will allow you to adjust the drawer up and down. And it's a good idea to start with one of those in case you move or flex and don't quite get it in the right spot. That one I think I did move a little bit. I'm going to drill that again. Yep, better go to the other hole. And we'll place the screw in the hole. We'll get the other side. Give you a little closer view. And then we'll pull the drawer out and we'll add a couple more screws here. Probably you only need about 3 per side. I tend to buy extra screws and put in more. I like to have a lot of screws, so maybe 4 per side. And now we can test it. We've got 2 in there. I'll push it back, take my jig off, remove the 2 sliding components of the Craig jig, push the drawer in. The first time you push it in, it's going to be really stiff, and that's engaging the slide, but then it should slide out nice and smooth the next time. It's binding a little bit in the back there, and I think if we add some screws, that will tighten it up and it will work a little bit better. You will have to take it out of the slides at this point, so I like to just click these little slides, pull it out, put it back on the bench, and then you can drill more holes and put the screws in. So we're going to add another one here. And we'll flip it over and get one on the other side as well. We'll brush off the dust here. Put some more screws into the cabinet. It's hard to see in the back there. And then I'll let you see inside there. And we'll test the drawer. Push the slides all the way in, line up the drawer, push it in, and there we go. It's a little tight in the back, probably some binding on the furring, and so I'll get in there and shave it down a little bit and make it fit a little better. The drawer might be a little wide, or the furring might be binding it, but it's pretty close. That should work. We don't want it to be that tight, so I'll work on that and fix it up. If you got any questions, post them in the discussion. And here we are after a brief 1-hour intermission. I had to do a little bit of adjusting on these drawers to get them to work, but now they work pretty well. If we slam them, you'll see they slowly close nice. They won't pinch your fingers. They close nice and smooth. Alright, I want to show you a little bit about what I had to do here. The furring piece in the middle of this cabinet was not perpendicular to the face frame. It was about 1/8 of an inch out. So on this drawer over here, it was binding because the slides were not parallel and they were open in the back by about 1/8 of an inch. So I took this slide loose, made some shims, and I just put about 1/16 of an inch in there, and that seemed to be enough to bring it into tolerance. So I put 2 shims on the back side, tightened the screws down, and this one worked really nice, so it's nice and smooth. The trouble came when I had to adjust this side because it was 1/8 inch narrower in the back. So I had to block plane, take the slide off, block plane quite a bit of wood off of this inner furring strip, test and fit. I had this slide on and off the cabinet 4 times before I got it to where I wanted it. So that's just part of installing these. The other problem that I ran into was that the face frame was not flush with the furring on either side here. So I had to get a shoulder plane and shave that down to where it was flush. What happens is when you put a screw in on your slide and they're not flush, if there's a little lip there on the face frame, you put a screw in and it flexes this drawer slide, puts a slight bow in it, and then it will bind. The drawer will bind and it won't slide. So I had to shave the inside of both of these down, take them off, shave them down, test them, used a carpenter square, kept checking it for a flat straight edge, and then had to block plane the inside and shave it down. I also used a sander in the back corner back there to get right into that corner. It's tough to get right back into here. I block planed the majority of it, but I had to get in there and grind it down, take a lot of wood off of there. So now they work. I'll give you a little tour inside the cabinet here. You can see the shavings and see the side. Oh, there's a lens cap there. And one other thing I don't think you saw very well, but on the slide there's this little flexible lock, and this is how you unlatch the drawer when you're pulling it out. And what confuses a lot of people is that on one side you have to push down and the other side you have to push up in order to release your drawer. To put it back in, you slide the ball bearing portion right up to the front, engage the side, either side of the cabinet, push it in, and the first time it's a little stiff, but then after you cycle it a couple times, give it a slam, it'll close nice and slow. Whew. Alright, one down.